yeah, it really shows that I took a 3-week break without me doing a video because I already don't know how English and talking works. Hello everybody, welcome back to this YouTube channel. My name is Julia, and in today's clip I'm actually gonna review my first ever Morphe palette. I did decide to purchase myself the 35Xo Natural Flirt Artistry palette from Morphe. This is their Christmas eyeshadow part of the collection, of the Christmas collection, if that makes any sense. So I actually was mostly excited about the palette, realistically speaking. I was very attracted to the 35Xo palette, also because of the color scheme, but to be completely honest, I am looking up to Strashme. If you don't know her, she was actually the winner of the Dream Charles show. I forgot what's the name of it really. I've got no clue what's the deal with her vibes that literally catch me and just grow on my skin whenever she posts a look. And she's just a vibe, okay? And when I've seen her being the image of their Christmas collection, I was like, I'm even more interested now. So it comes very nicely wrapped. I really like these. I always keep them whenever I travel. They are very handy. And this is how it looks like. I actually had no clue this is the outer packaging really. I'm a bit annoyed it doesn't have a mirror. I've seen this is the whole drill with Morphe palettes, generally speaking. And yeah, this is how it looks like. It looks stunning. I mean, I'm just gonna keep it as such just to make sure you can properly see it, and obviously my camera decided to shut me down, but thank God for backup batteries, because otherwise I'll die. So this is how the palette looks like. I think I was saying, usually I think these sort of palettes are boring, and lately I started not believing that anymore. I do really like it. So before jumping into doing my eyes, I just want to say that by the end of the clip I'm gonna have swatches of every single shade. I'm gonna do it, although, you know, make sure you understand they don't explain the performance of the eyeshadow. But yeah, I will leave the minute I start the swatches in the description down below, because I know sometimes people are only interested in that, and I'm fine with that, so check that out. But if you want to see the whole drill, I always do use a base, so today I use the P. Louise base because I'm not actually going anywhere. I'm gonna do 2 different eyes. So I'm very attracted to, I hope you can see it probably like this. I'm very attracted to Touchy Feely. It looks like a very nice purple, so we are gonna apply that shade on one of the eyes, I guess. This actually blended like a dream. It is a very just lovely shade. I feel the need to say sultry, but I don't know, this palette, I don't have something like this, and it makes me feel very girly and flirty. And I decided to go with you up on the other eye. One thing I can say is that I'm shocked how beautifully this blended, especially like, I mean, not especially, like both of them actually. One thing I can say is that I'm shocked how beautiful they blended out. Like, they are very nicely blended, and I did not work like ages on them to blend out this nicely. So to spice things up, I'm gonna go with show some skin onto the eye. I used Touchy Feely, which is this one, I think. Yeah. And I'm gonna use a charmer on the other eye, which is more on the warm tone side, just to see how pigmented they can go, because obviously the 2 shades I have on my eyes right now, they are a bit like chilled down. So the 2 like lighter shades are kind of like underneath the darker ones. Usually when I do these type of clips, I don't mind if I cover up. I want to use as many shades as possible for you. And I must say again, they blend out amazing, and I have no idea why I was not expecting entirely that. It is a teeny tiny bit kickbacky, I would say that, but I don't mind. Like, I really don't mind. I never minded. It doesn't seem to stick to my skin. It's just in the pan, the fallout in itself. So I really don't mind. So I want to use Love Story on this side and make it official on the side at the ends, just to smoke out the look. So as you can see, obviously Love Story is not, you know, I said I'm gonna smoke out the end, but obviously it's not a black or something like that, but it's quite dark. However, I want a bit more darkness, so I did go with +1, which is this shade, and I did combine both of them onto the eye, and you know, it's a very lovely shade. It's definitely dark to the way it looks, you know, within the pan. Like, it does show up onto the lid as dark as it looks into the pan. However, Make It Official is definitely a beautiful shade for a smoky eye. I actually like how the brown tones into it are. Like, it's just a very cool toned, extremely dark and pigmented brown shade, but you can still tell it's brown. And because sometimes the brown in the Be Perfect palette, if you know that, it looks as if it's black, but it's not black, it's brown, but you can't tell it's brown because it's too dark to a point where it seems like it's black until you put it next to a black. I really enjoy, you can see it's a very dark brown, but not to a point where you can confuse it with black. So let's jump in with the shimmers, because I'm very excited about the shimmers to see how they look like on the lid. They look very nice into the pan. However, the swatches on the Morphe website, they definitely look a bit too photoshopped. Just very lovely constructive feedback. I'm gonna start with this bling over there, and I'm gonna use, I think, Matchmaker. It looks like a very nice rusty shade, and I'm gonna use this one onto the brown side. So what I can say is with this bling shade, which is this one, it is a bit crumbly. Like, I tried to get more, you know, product on the brush and it crumbled a bit, which is something to keep into account, that they seem a bit fragile. And as much as I love how they look like, they definitely don't look like as if, you know, they look on the website, which is a bit disappointing. I don't understand why they do edit and Photoshop their pictures to a point where they look extremely blinding, to a point where in my eyes I was aware it's gonna be unrealistic. Like, it's not like that in real life. They are sparkly and nice and shimmery, but not to the extent it looks on the website. So I'm gonna be straightforward with that. I really love the shades, but if you expect to look like, if you know, they look like on the website, I'm just gonna say to you out loud, impossible. So moving on, like I said, with the lighter shimmers, I'm gonna use Your Move because it looks stunning onto this side, and I'm gonna use Single Life actually, because it looks like a white on the website, but it's not. It seems like it has some mauvey reflexes to it, like purple-ish reflexes into it. So I'm very curious how that's gonna pick up onto my eye. I'm very sorry I was a bit too far away, but I did not film in a while, so I forgot how to do it. But speaking of the shimmers, again, they look very nice, but they are not as blinding as they look on the website. I'm just gonna be very transparent about that, which, you know, it can be disappointing if you wanna buy this with the intention of being that blinding. It's not. It's a very nice formula. I can sense it has very tiny like particles of shimmer, but not to a point where it's glittery. And I was a bit shocked with the shade Single Life, because if you look very closely, you can see at some point some purpliness into it, like shimmer purple, kind of like shifting shimmer. However, it looks white into the pan, but it's golden onto the eye. So just a heads up, it's not white, it's actually gold. So now I want to go with Across the Room into the brow bone, and I'm gonna go with Hard to Get as well. I'm not quite sure if Hard to Get is gonna be a proper brow bone shade. It might have a cast, but I'm gonna try it. So Hard to Get is not as dark as I expected. It does get like Hard to Get does have a cast in its true sense, to be completely honest. Like, I was expecting, it's quite dark but not as dark as it looks onto the pan, so I think you can get away with it if you place less than I did. So to use different shades underneath the eye, I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna use, but let's go with double tap onto the brown side and eye contact onto the pink side. Pigmented, very nice, both of them. Eye contact is not as pink as it looks into the pan actually. It's more of a peachy with a pink twist into it, which I'm not mad about it. I think it's a very special shade. I don't have something like that into my collection. While double tap, again, it's a very nice, interesting undertone to it. I'm not quite sure if it's warm or cool toned. I think it's in between, to be completely honest, but it's again a very lovely brown sort of shade that I don't have into my collection. I don't have that many browns, not as many as I have now into this palette really. So I'm gonna go with Kiss Me into my inner corner of the pink one and Get the Digits onto the brown one, because I think I just want to try them out. Kiss Me looks like very nice, so let's test it out. So Kiss Me, it's actually stunning. I wouldn't say it's like duochromatic, but it definitely has some iridescent purple shift to it, although it's like pink. While Get the Digits, I must say it looks extremely similar to Single Life, which I'm a teeny tiny bit disappointed. However, I can tell it's more on the illuminating side rather than the shimmery side, because I feel Single Life does have more particles of very fine shimmer into it, but they still look very similar. So I did apply some white liner into my waterline, just because I do tend to use eyeshadow onto my waterline. So I really want to try out Meet the Rents onto the pink one, and I guess I'm gonna try Just Friends onto the other one, because Just Friends looks extremely similar to You Up, like, oh no, You Up is definitely more cool toned, and Just Friends is definitely more on the warm side. So they look very nice onto my waterline. I really like more Just Friends than the purple, because I was thinking it's not gonna look as nice since I have a lot of brown going on there, but it looks really stunning. While the purple one I was expecting to pop as such, it does pop because obviously there's not much going on with purple necessarily, but with pink and purplish undertone eyeshadows, but it's not like, I don't have anything like purple in your eyes like I have now onto my waterline. And one last shade that I really am dying to try out, and I'm pretty sure you do as well. I'm gonna use Crushing Hard onto maybe both of the eyes, I will see. But this is the only glitter pressed eyeshadow that I see into this palette, and it looks mesmerizing. Because I was lazy to use glitter glue, it does have fallout. I always use the glitter glue with glitter, but I was lazy today. However, it did stick really nicely onto the lid, although I don't have something to grip onto it. And I don't know if you can notice the undertone, like it does have different shades into the glitter. It seems like it has pink and kind of like brown, like a combination in between the two varieties of the shades you find into this palette. And by the time I did apply on both of the eyes, can you see it seems like I have totally different glitters onto my lid, but it's the same thing, because it does seem to emphasize obviously the pink glitter onto the pink eye and the brown glitter onto the brown side, which I think it's so cool because they seem to have both, you know, both of the undertones to say per se. So now I'm gonna just jump into putting some falsies and finishing my eyes, and then I'm gonna come back with the swatches. If you're already subscribed to my channel, you know I'm switching all the time with my phone camera when I do the swatches. So here's the cutie. Let's start, because obviously I did not use every single one. So come here often. It's so much like my skin that It took me 1 second to realize I already put Your Move on top of it, but I'm gonna redo it here. But you can see it's my skin tone sort of shade. Can't properly see it. So what I can say after swatching every single shade, I must say it is a very wonderful palette. I really love the color scheme, really. For some reason, like I said, I think in the intro, I was not necessarily into this type of palettes. Lately, the hype got to my head, really, to have a palette that has these very flirty maroon, brown sort of shades. I think it's a very lovely palette. I would not associate it necessarily with Christmas, if you ask me. It is the Christmas collection, so straight off the bat I would say that for me personally it doesn't seem necessarily like a Christmas collection. It definitely seems more of a Valentine sort of collection, but that is not like necessarily the point, because to be completely honest, here I am. I bought it because I love the color scheme, although it's a Christmas edition eyeshadow palette. However, I truly love this palette. One thing that I would say it's a negative is the fact that if you check the website and see the swatches, again, the swatches on the website do not stand the reality, unfortunately. They can't be that blinding. Like, they are very shimmery, very sparkly, very, they're picking the lighting a lot, but not to a point where the swatching on the website is realistic. That's just not realistic, and I think it's a bit misleading, because if you're not into makeup like I am myself, you would think they would look like that. But personally, I know, at least I never came across to a shimmery shadow that can do that in real life. So yeah, I was aware that's gonna be probably, I was 99.9% sure it's not gonna be the case of looking the same. However, except that, the palette is actually really stunning. I really love the idea that I can achieve both brown and, you know, pinky nude sort of looks. I really genuinely am super into my makeup. I think, you know, you can, I don't know, if you want to be girly, you can be girly. If you want to be boring, as in like browns, I always say browns are boring, okay, but it seems like I'm getting into the hype of boring brown side of makeup, like I used to be into at the beginning of my makeup journey. Then I switched to very colorful palettes, and now here I am. I am also into pinks. I always say I hate pink, but can I say anymore that I hate pink? I say this for ages and I still find myself buying pink stuff. So I think it's time to realize that I don't actually hate pink. I actually really like pink. So this is a palette that seems very pink toned, but the reality is, you can see here, that's not entirely true. Also, another negative, it doesn't have a mirror. I'm a bit upset because personally I love, like I said, if I can find a mirror, like if it has space for a mirror, might as well put a mirror. But it just says hashtag Morphe babe. I would have preferred to see that underneath a mirror, like over here. But yeah, I mean, these are the two negative I would say about the palette. They seem very buttery. I forgot to say that. They seem very buttery. Like, obviously when you pick it up on the brush, you can't tell it's buttery, but by the time I did swatch it, it's a very buttery formula, and I guess that's why I can blend out so easily. Like, this is extremely easily blendable. For some reason, I never thought that's gonna be the case, and my nose is itchy. Why you're doing this to me now? For some reason, I was not expecting to be as easy to work with it as it is. I don't know, I was very skeptical. Morphe and their eyeshadow palettes are extremely hyped to a point where I thought it's not necessarily realistic. I thought they are hyped because it's such an influential brand within the beauty industry and beauty community, and there are like loads of influencers who have codes, which actually thank God, because I paid less for this guy because of that. But because of that situation where everybody has a code and everybody promotes them and everybody talks about them, because of the codes, people do tend, I assume, I have no idea, like I do trust some people, but I feel there are people out there who just promote some of their products for the sake of using their codes, not necessarily because they're like outstanding, but they are good, but not necessarily like, some people do say like, oh my god, this is gonna change your life, and I'm like, I'm not saying this palette is gonna change your life, but if you love the color scheme, I'm just gonna be straightforward. It's a very lovely palette. If you were like myself, skeptical about Morphe and eyeshadows from Morphe because they're overly discussed about, like, I know there are some inconsistencies with other palettes. Obviously I did not try every single palette from Morphe, but this one stands for, you know, the general hype I hear about Morphe. Blendable, nice, color scheme, cute. It's just, I don't know, I think I'm gonna make a lot of use out of it because I don't have a huge palette like this one with browns and pinks, and I am loving how I look today. So yeah, so far so good. I really hope you enjoyed this clip. It was useful and relevant to you and you find it helpful. If you love beauty content, then definitely subscribe. I might not have been consistent for the past 3 weeks, but that was because I was back home in Romania dealing with a wisdom tooth, with dealing with adult stuff, like my passport expired. At least once a week. That's my usual upload, at least once a week, if not more. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking because I already talked way too much, and it's gonna be interesting when I'm gonna edit this clip. Yeah. Bye.